In the absence of others, there comes an intense clarity. I don't need the voices of others to create architecture around me, some labyrinth to spend years unwinding. The most ridiculous dream seems plausible when you're alone. In solitude, there are no echoes, there are no walls, no obstructions, no detours. I am the seed and fruit of my universe. I am self-fecundating. There is no mating of ideas, no shared religion. I am the God and the children I preside over. When someone chooses to leave society, they often take to the woods. I chose the ocean. I chose a sky which could never be obscured. I chose a place where monarchs are so numerous they look like they appear from within the ocean. This slice of land was mine, all yellow and gold, turquoise shadows and cerulean atmosphere. I decided the proper place to disappear was the edge of the earth. For solitude, I chose oblivion. Here I was alone for 5 days. No one could contact me. I didn't allow it. Today I feel like people think they own a piece of you. What if something happens? What if I need to get a hold of you? As if we always lived cheek to cheek. As if it was always customary to be able to reach someone anywhere they were, and not only by a landline telephone or writing desk. They think because we're so interconnected that you must somehow feel guilty for prohibiting them access to you. Listen to me. You should never feel this guilt. I've come here to remember. I write to remember. I make this video to solidify a moment in my life, to preserve something, and to let the rest go. It can be difficult when you're around others too much to forget your legend, to forget the themes, the motifs, and symbols which define your life. You need to remove the distracting cooing of external voices. In silence, in a place without movement, sediment and dust settle. You would do well to study what appears in stillness. I chose not to speak. I only wrote down my thoughts. I emptied myself each morning and read throughout the rest of the day. I read bits of different books I have, not to read them, but to search for meanings that were mine. There are things that you get caught on, if you know what I mean. A word in a sentence seems to take longer to read. A phrase can be read over and over. Some bits of passage stick out like they were addressing you en face. We look for meaning, and meaning looks for us. And when you become skilled at this practice, you regularly greet each other. I used my time to search and document. I'm studying myself. What are the things I get caught on? What's my temperature, my fixation? In solitude, in silence, in stillness, you learn to see undertones, like an acid which reveals a hidden script. You're looking for yourself in everything you read, in all you witness and consume. The first step to never feeling lonely is to see yourself in other things. The validation that a piece of you exists in everything else. You have an infinite twin. Where I was, the days were so warm it browned my skin. The nights were so cold I needed my mother's old fox fur to keep me warm. I liked this polarity. I took nothing for granted. Each day was a practice in humility. It was difficult to sleep, but the sunrise felt earned. Each morning I peeled out of a multi-layered cocoon. The shower water was frigid. I could feel the blood rush to my vital organs. I could feel the turnover. I never washed my hair, but I brushed it multiple times a day to show respect for myself and to extricate the stresses of the past. Some cultures believe knotted hair holds memory. I regularly wiped the slate clean of trivial vexations. Where I was, there were wild horses, so I had to eat my meals within the silence and confine of my vehicle. I love to see what I can do when no one watches. Who are you without witnesses? This is a question I think everyone should ask themselves. There are failures and accomplishments. You can choose what to absolve yourself of and for what to vilify. Why don't more people seek out this lack of audience or counsel? When you are alone, you are your only judge. Why not live as you like, without the petty interferences of others that swarm like flies around the crown of your head? When all the noise has died down, you have time to dream. I dreamed luxuriantly. I dreamed with eyes open. I dreamed like a small child does. Without other voices, without limitations of lives which I did not live imposed on me, impossible things now felt close to fruition. It feels good to know no bounds. Other people can be walls. There is an amount of juvenile delusion that feels healthy. Every child thinks they can walk through walls. I entertain things for my future that would confuse, worry, or even disappoint others if they only heard the ideas aloud. In this simulated solipsism, your naivete nourishes iron-forged hope. Oftentimes you have to be naive to things, dilute yourself into thinking the world could be more hospitable to your ideas to achieve anything, any dream. And some goals or affirmations are safer when concealed within oneself and not laid in front of a barrage. Here I achieved, though artificially, that freezing of time that people always yearn for. Each day felt like the same day, the same sun and sand, the same blue sky. This environment gifted me with the luxury of stopping the earth on its axis. I existed within an interim. And this is where you can do the soul's work. Take a second to stop, to dislodge yourself from the linear path and move in circles. Polish yourself on that cycle. Pay close attention to what flies out of your orbit. We repeat the same lines of a poem, the same refrains of a prayer for years, and one day a hidden meaning becomes obvious to us. When we continually progress in a linear way, that stunts inner progress. The soul moves to no rhythm, and it expands in inertia. Do you know what you're capable of? Have you stopped to ask? The night before my departure to this island, I did not sleep. I was terrified. It was the beginning of many firsts for me. I had never driven this far alone. I had never camped alone. I had never taken a trip alone. I had never taken a trip for myself. I wanted to break through all barriers, and I wanted to perform it like a sacrament. In order to receive knowledge or peace or grace or whatever, you need to take yourself out of the domain of normal life. You need to take the proper steps to elevate yourself towards the sacred. You have to sacrifice things, regiment yourself, restrict yourself. I chose not to speak, though I love to talk to myself. I chose to cut the social tie, to be away from people, and to face oblivion. Only in these ways, only here can I find what I want. The times where I've felt most alone are when I'm with other people. It takes true solitude to recognize that. Finding a kind of company in your solitude is a divine gift you need no God to acquire. When you are alone, you only need to think of yourself, and you only have yourself. You grow stronger when there is no hand to help and no guidance given. It's just an empty blue sky, but soon enough, figures emerge from the ether, and they all resemble you. There are initiations and rewards you can impart on yourself. Despite the discomfort, I was the happiest I had been in months. I felt lucky. I felt grateful for the solace and alleviation of my burdens. Stupid things that vexed me before now felt impersonal and remote. Personal revelations which eluded me came near. The only caveat is this, my friends. For personal potency, we sacrifice our humanity, and vice versa. Whether you choose to leave the world or set yourself aside for it, do so with the utmost consciousness. Either choice has a dense gravity which is difficult to release yourself from. My only advice is to be strong. Be strong like the tides, strong enough to ebb and flow.